Every NFL player from Tom Brady, the 7-time Super Bowl champion, 5-time Super Bowl MVP, to the 4th-string backup corner on the worst team in the league, has their own personal expectations heading into each and every NFL season. And as always, players and coaches for that matter too, are exceeding those expectations or not living up to the once lofty ones that they had heading into the season. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing a few players that are exceeding those set expectations, and probably within the next week or two there will be a video on players that are not living up to those expectations. So without further ado, let's dive right in. And we're going to start today's video with 49ers receiver Deebo Samuel. Deebo was a second-round pick back in 2019 and had a solid rookie season as he had a 57-catch, 802-yard year on the way to what would eventually become a 49ers Super Bowl loss. And at the time, the 49ers 2019 draft class looked like it was definitely not going to be one of the best of all time per se, but a very good class for years to come. As Nick Bosa won the Defensive Rookie of the Year, Deebo looked to be a future star receiver, and then they also had linebacker Dre Greenlaw. Now, 2020 was a rough year for Deebo as he played in a total of 7 games and entered 2021 at a crossroads in his young career. Would 2019 prove to be the peak for not only Deebo but the Kyle Shanahan-led 49ers, and would he flame out? Talking about Deebo flaming out, that is, of course. Well, he has more than answered the bell nearly halfway through the season as he has 4 100-yard games, despite at the time not great play from the 49ers quarterbacks. All-Pro tight end George Kittle has been out for a little bit this year, and the 49ers needed someone to step up during this time while he was out, and Deebo has more than done that. He has 3 150-yard games and has not had less than 52 yards receiving in a game in 2021, which is something I find very impressive considering how the media is towards both Jimmy G and rookie Trey Lance. They really don't give them a lot of slack and portray them to be both generally either average at best or bad. And given Deebo already has 819 yards at the start of November, he will surely have his first 1,000-yard year of his career, and that is of course assuming he stays healthy. Next is another 2019 draftee, and it is Raiders pass rusher Maxx Crosby. Maxx has been a very pleasant surprise through the first 8 weeks of the 2021 season, and 7 games because the Raiders did have a bye week this week. Now, for as dominant of a season as Myles Garrett has had, and a player that will, let's just call it what it is, will probably win the Defensive Player of the Year award in his own rights, talking about Myles that is, Maxx Crosby has had an underrated year, and for what it's worth, has just one less quarterback hit than what Myles has through 8 games. Now, again, not to discredit Myles because I did say he will probably win the DPOY this year, but Maxx Crosby has just one less quarterback hit than him despite playing in one less game, so in theory, Crosby could have more QB hits than Garrett through 8 games of his own. Now, Myles, of course, handedly has more sacks, 10.5 to 5, and tackles for a loss, 11 to 4 compared to Crosby, but I did want to show the one stat to really emphasize how good he has been for Las Vegas. Obviously, there have been some off-the-field things that Crosby Raiders have had to deal with over the first half of the year, but they are in a division with both Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, and how Maxx and the gang gets after them in the second half of the season, combined with Derek Carr's ability, who, by the way, was also a heavy candidate for today's video, will determine if the Raiders make the postseason, and for that matter, if they have a potentially deep postseason run. And one final stat I will share about Maxx and the Raiders is they are 4th in the NFL as a team in pressures and 2nd in pressure percentage, and what is most impressive about the first part, being 4th in the NFL in total pressures, is they have missed a game compared to a lot of other teams due to their Week 8 bye. Maxx Crosby won't win a DPOY award this year unless he has something absurd like a 12-plus second half season, 12-plus sack second half of the season, but I did want to include him in today's video because what he has been doing for the Raiders and how he has been leading that pass rushing unit has been nothing short of impressive. Now we head to a rookie that I haven't discussed on the channel in a while other than briefly mentioning him here or there during a weekly recap, but now is Bengals star receiver Jamar Chase. Jamar had quite the entrance to the NFL as he sat out the entire 2020 season during his final year at LSU. He then had several drops in the preseason and at one point said the ball didn't have a stripe like in college, so there was the justification for dropping the football a lot. Great job trolling everyone, Jamar, by the way. And to where he is now, the perennial favorite to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, and the player that is expected to break former LSU teammates Justin Jefferson's rookie receiving yards record, which he set at 1,400 on the dot a year ago. Through 8 games, Jamar has 786 yards, which puts him on pace for nearly 1,700 because he had a career-low 32-yard game yesterday against the Jets, but he still is on pace to have 14 touchdowns in his rookie season, which would be the most since Randy Moss in 1998. The Burrow to Jamar connection was something everyone, at minimum, really was keeping an eye on, whether it was to signify they were right that the Bengals should have taken Jamar at number 5 overall, or for those that stood on the other side and were pounding their fists on the table for Cincinnati to take Penei Sewell, number 5 overall. Regardless, fans were paying attention to this really no matter which team you root for, or which side you root for in this case, because of how much hype was, and really understandably, around this selection, and for that matter, the hype that was around the potential of this selection. Very rarely do you have an all-time team like the 2019 LSU team with Burrow, Jefferson, and Chase, and then potentially have the star Heisman-winning quarterback team up with one of his guys that they won the said natty, as people refer to, back in 2019 over the Clemson Tigers. Now, 1,000 yards is considered a very successful rookie season, whether that's for a first-round pick or a fifth-round pick, because, again, it is a huge adjustment to go from playing receiver at the collegiate level to the NFL level. So, generally, when a player has a big rookie season, like an Odell Beckham Jr. in 2014, or like a Justin Jefferson in 2020, or like now, a Jamar Chase in 2021, the media will hype things up like this, and I'm sure to some people it probably gets annoying at times, but remember, what we are seeing from Jamar Chase in 2021 is historic stuff, and he is far and away exceeding even the wildest expectations Bengals fans and coaches had. And we're going to now discuss a few players. So next is Derek Carr of the Raiders. The Raiders opened their season off with a very emotional win over the Ravens in a game where Derek Carr threw for over 430 yards, and in a game where I think it's fair to say this, Raiders fans, but I do think the Raiders of the past would have rolled over and not fought with as much energy and as bite as they did against the Ravens, and credit to Derek Carr for playing a huge part in that. And immediately after the game, I forget who the receiver was, I think it was Zay Jones. Immediately after the game in the post-game press conference, Derek Carr just threw one of the biggest touchdowns of his life, and he immediately credited it to, again, I think it was Zay Jones, for how much he works and how often they are in the facility together at 6 a.m., and he's always the first one in and the last to leave. So credit to Derek Carr for not only doing that and making the play, but also being a huge team leader and giving his teammate the shine when he very easily could have just accepted that for himself. The Raiders then went into Pittsburgh the next week and beat the Steelers, who were at the time coming off of a huge win in Buffalo. Now, eventually they did lose in an underwhelming game to the Chargers on Monday night, and then the Bears the week after, though we will at least vouch for Carr and the Raiders, as they had some very big issues off the field around that game. Since then, they had 2 wins and are now 5-2 on the year, with 3 winnable games that are at the Giants, home against the Chiefs, and home against the Bengals. Certainly that won't be easy to start out 8-2, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities either. And it's because Derek Carr is playing at minimum in 2021 of a Pro Bowl level. Now, another quarterback that has exceeded expectations so far is Matt Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams. Everyone knew Stafford was underutilized in Detroit, and he was indeed a very good player, but how good was the question? How good would he be when he stemmed away from Detroit? He never had A, the weapons, and I'm actually going to elaborate on this here in a sec, A, the weapons, B, the coaching staff, or C, had a good enough team as in a defense to stop or limit anybody. And by the way, when he did have any of those, there was certainly one of the other 3 lacking elsewhere. But through 8 games in LA, the Rams are 7-1, and Stafford has a very impressive TD to INT ratio of 22-4, meaning he is on pace to throw for over 45 touchdowns this year with the added 17th game, and has both the highest touchdown percentage of his career and the lowest interception percentage of his said career. Sean McVay is regarded as as one of the best coaches in the NFL, and his growth or build upon of Stafford is a good reason to show, but the regression of Jared Goff is another. Goff has never won a regular season game without McVay being his head coach, and Sunday was extremely ugly for the Detroit Lions. So, not surprisingly, pairing Stafford with McVay has fit like a glove, and there is a good possibility these two play in a home Super Bowl this year. And it has been quite the season so far for both Stafford and McVay, who recently acquired Von Miller as I was in the midst of making this video. Now, that is all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world. And I will be at the Vikings-Ravens games this Sunday, so if you see me in a football analysis shirt before the game, let me know, holler at me, say hey, and I hope to see some of you guys there. So until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great day.